Hey there, Postal here. So today we are taking out the Tier 9 Jawa. This is the J7W2. I really enjoyed this plane. So much more than the Tier 8. Some people would say, well, it's probably because you went from, speaking of Tier 8, there's the Tier 8 right over there to my right.
You are approaching the front line.
Maybe you liked it more because, you know, you get a jet. Whee! So you get to go faster, quicker. That could be part of it. Sure. Can't argue with that, I don't think. I mean, I guess I could argue with that, but I'm not gonna. Some people could say, well, you know, it's a little bit more maneuverable. I'm gonna say a lot of it has to do with these guns. The guns, I equate the Tier 8 J7W1, kind of like the 262. Hear me out. You've got these big honking 30mm cannons with their super short range, and it can just be difficult for them to be impactful. Haha, no pun intended. When you go to Tier 9, both on the 262 line and on this J7 line, your guns get a little bit more range, about 100 meters, about 300 feet, maybe 250 feet. But they hit like a freaking Mack truck. These guns hit so freaking hard. These are heavy fighter guns. They will freaking wreck things like it's nobody's business. Do not, if you're in a multi-role or a light fighter, you do not go head-on versus a J7W2 or W3, because this actually is the same guns that you get in Tier 9. It would be nice if my guns hit. So this guy's playing it smart, not going head-on. He's just not letting me hit. It does not take long for these guns to kill whatever they're looking for. Of course, I'm going to be in trouble if I try to dogfight an attacker. I might actually be okay versus an attacker. It's toast. Unfortunately, I'm killing all these guys before they get the opportunity to unlock the sector. Backed out his engine. You can just see how these guns just completely melt. And I'm feeling it right now. I could use an engine. Oh well. These guns will completely melt down enemy aircraft. Unfortunately, you know, that guy was dead and then populated behind me, so there's not a lot I can do in that kind of situation. But we'll get back going at it. I think the TU-12 might be already over here, which will be disappointing. But if he's doing some dive bombery kind of things, we might actually be able to attack him later in the game. Ain't nobody got time for that right now. I'm not going to go chasing a plane that's 12,000 feet away. That guy right there. Alright, so let's put these guns to good use, shall we? Now they are 30mm cannons, so they can be fickle versus maneuvering targets. But if you give it a lot of lead, you can definitely do good things with these guns. He says as he doesn't give a lot of lead. There you go. We need to be capping peoples, and I keep distracting myself with targets to kill. I'm not going to drop my bombs here. I've got 2 bombs. They're, you know, they're okay. They're really supplemental, these bombs. Knocked out his engine, because that's what this plane's guns do. Let's use our boost. We'll go ahead and catch up now. There we go. Let's keep on moving, right? We are a multi-role. Let's utilize our attack ability. We're going to lose the command center no matter what we do. They've got, you know, a bomber run going inbound there and 2 bombers over there already. We'll have to make a point to go after Oleg and M. Woods at some later time. Yeah, let's see how it goes. Do we have another human? Is this our human? This guy? Nope. That's a bot's name? Okay. I believe you. Let's see if we can help our GA stay alive a little bit longer. Apparently not.
The enemy has captured the command center. Don't let them gain a foothold.
My accuracy is leaving me wanting. So like all Japanese aircraft, this particular plane is, how do we say, flammable. So a lot of my skill points, like one of my skill points you always want to have on your Japanese multi-rolls or light fighters, is definitely going to be, this guy's moving slower than I realized, so I was actually aiming too far out. That's pretty funny. Is going to be to have, you know, that firefighter skill. I highly recommend firefighter skill. It's so much more flexible than having a fire extinguisher.
The command center is ours.
Especially in the Japanese planes, because firefighter skill tends to work when you're doing highly maneuverable shenanigans. And, you know, have you heard of any Japanese planes that do highly maneuverable shenanigans? Yeah, that's what they do. So you're already doing that anyway, so it's like you're ready to engage the firefighter skill all the time when you're in your Japanese light fighters and multi-rolls. Alright, so we're kind of sort of moving over here towards this 1056. I guess we're definitely moving over here towards him. And he turns, so we appreciate that. Let's go ahead and both those bombers now are down at our command center again. So it just kind of is what it is. We need to keep on keeping on here. Get these 30mm cannons to use. Toasty. If I can keep it close, unfortunately it's a 4-sector map. Like this is a perfect, this plane right here is a perfect Kozadub earning plane, because it can just knock planes out after the squall line so well. You know, like that. So going after the bombers and GAs at this point is not a bad tactic. It's just I've got to worry about the things that are in front of me first, and then we'll worry about the things that are way up there, like that stupid P-51H that I can't do anything about. Let's go ahead and drop a bomb, drop a bomb. Definitely do something about this guy. Alright. Got that guy. Did my bombs hit? They did. Come on. There we go. Perfect. Let's keep on keeping on over here. Go for this if we can get that sector before they get our sector. Again, they've got the 2 bombers over there. So we just need to do what we can do. This attacker and this P-51H. Which one's going to be more of the frickin' detrimental to me? I don't even know, to be honest. Let's just kill what we can kill. And we'll go from there. Alright, I need to put my pneumatic control assist on. If I can just get my big honking gun to do some big honking damage. There we go. There we go. There we go. Alright, 1056 and a multi-roll of some sort over here. Somewhere on the map. I can't see it. Oh, there it is. F-84 is definitely, obviously, the more maneuverable of the 2 planes. It's 1056 though, if he comes in behind me. Giggity. Could certainly cause a lot of issues. And I'm not really catching up to this guy, or am I? Oh my goodness, this is so close. I think we might actually win this. Let's go back to the 1056. Holy cow, we are going to win this. It's a GD miracle. What the friggin' F-84 turning back around now? Whew!
Waiting for your return.
Okay. I don't know how I didn't get top on there. But we got a Marseille. We got an ace. We got 15,000 personal points. And we put ourselves in great position to win this battle. Let's head back. How? Alright, so I haven't looked at the team score yet, but I've got 21 kills, 745 capture points, 6 sectors captured. Like, I was a freaking bomber in this, right? Like, I was flipping sectors like it was nobody's business. Just a second. Let's check out the team score. Kyle, you jackass. You messed me up from being number 1. Oh well, we've got to reach out to M. Woods over here. He obviously did really well. So, a couple things about this battle. This is exactly the reason why I keep my bombs on this plane. It's actually the same reason why I keep my bombs on things like the XF90 or the 262s. Well, the Tier 9 that can keep the bombs. I keep the bombs on planes that allow me to keep bombs because the difference in airspeed typically isn't great enough to not keep the bombs. That's a really bad word choice. But what I mean by that is I'd rather have these bombs and be able to use them like I did in those command centers. I could not take over command centers if I was just killing the defense aircraft alone. I'm sure you've ran into that too. You kill all the defense aircraft and you're like, oh great, I still need, 5% more capture to capture this sector. That's what your bombs are for, and I use them to great effect in this battle. That's just a side note, though. This plane is so freaking good. It's a real honest joy to play. I absolutely love planes that can just freaking hit faces and be done with it. What's funny about this plane is my accuracy was pretty well off this battle for the most part. Maybe not the most part, but I was noticing my accuracy seemed to be off quite a bit more than it usually is. It's probably my own aiming, because these are 30mm cannons. When in doubt, aim further out. You want to make sure that you're accounting for the slower projectiles that you're shooting. But my cat agrees. Seriously. But this plane and the Tier 10 have incredible cannons. I mean, look at the gun armament on here. 1,300 damage per second. That, of course, is with my equipment setup, which we're going to go over in just a second. But even base, it's 1,200. 1,200 damage a second with a multi-roll. There's definitely some downsides to this plane. It is not the fastest. It is not very good with the altitude performance. Even for a multi-roll, I think it's the lowest altitude performing plane at Tier 9. Its maneuverability is pretty good, but it's not, quite Batwing good. And it's definitely not light fighter good. The P-51H can outmaneuver you. So you need to be aware of those kind of interactions. But if you can get the guns on target, doesn't matter about all that. It really doesn't, right? You're more maneuverable than a 262 HT2. And that plane can get its guns on target, so you should be able to use your maneuverability to get your guns on target and really change lives. So here's my equipment setup. I've fiddled around with the equipment setup on this plane. And keep in mind, I do have this specialized. I forget what the equipment slot setup is before you get the plane specialized, so I apologize. We're just going to have to go over it after specialization. I like the setup that I've gone with here. So let's start with the consumables first. I always recommend first aid dressing unless you're trying to troll people and you want to do some sparklers and fireworks and yada yada yada. The fire extinguisher is completely pointless, and that the reason being is you should, on your Japanese pilots and your Yak line pilots, any plane that catches on fire often, you should have firefighter skill. We'll go over that in just a second. So don't don't utilize that. You want first aid dressing. All right, so I am going to first and foremost recommend putting pneumatic control assist on here. I'm assuming you only get one of these 2 consumable slots. You'll want to use pneumatic control assist first, just because there'll be situations that you need to get yourself out of trouble, or you just need to you get stuck into a dogfight and you need that little extra turn radius ability. Pneumatic control assist will do that. Once you have the ability to have both consumables, exhaust bleed inertia, the exhaust bleed system, we'll say, is certainly a good choice. It reduces the chance of fire by 20%. You'll notice I actually didn't catch fire this particular battle. That's odd. I will catch fire more often than not in a battle, but I used to catch on fire quite a bit. The emergency control system, I mean, there's an argument to be made to utilize that instead of the exhaust bleed, but for the Japanese planes, like, it's just better to not get hit at all. And a lot of people, they do go for you because they know that you're going to catch on fire. You don't necessarily lose your wings all that often. Although I did get my wing knocked out a couple times in this battle. So, I mean, it's really flip a coin when it comes to your second consumable slot for your airframe. It's your preference, right? I've gone ahead and put engine cooling on here. The other ones just didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Improved mixture control doesn't make sense because you're not fast enough to begin with. So there's, like, adding 2% doesn't really do very much. There is an argument to be made for the manual engine restart. Your engines do get knocked out on the Jawa line quite a bit since your engines are in the rear, whether it's the prop or the jet. So it just kind of matters your playstyle. I'm a little bit more aggressive, so I'll do the engine cooling. And then universal ammo all the time, because you might as well, right? I don't really see the benefit of the gold ammo, but I mean, hey, to each their own. Go ahead and do that. I mean, it definitely makes a difference. You'll notice the difference if you're using the fragmentation ammunition. I'd like to hang on to my gold, so that's that. As far as the equipment is concerned, you definitely want to go with the gyroscopic sight. The reason being is this plane doesn't go fast enough to be able to take advantage of a G-suit. And things like the navigational radio equipment and the cockpit armor really aren't relevant for this plane. In my opinion, I mean, for me, I'm going to recommend I want my guns to hit. These cannons are like shotgun shells. Anything I can do to get them to actually hit their target is going to be a good thing, especially with the damage that it puts out. I've kind of gone all in when it comes to maneuverability on the initial setup. I got lightweight wing frame and the lightweight power unit. Again, the airspeed's just not good enough for me to want to like push in for the airspeed. I really want to be able to get my guns on target quicker, and that typically means maneuvering better. It also just lets me kind of dogfight a little bit more. I'm a dogfighter. There could be an argument made to go all in for the speed instead of maneuverability. I wouldn't mind somebody showing me that kind of setup, but that's not necessarily my playstyle for this plane. Goodness knows I like some of the fast planes out there. But I've set mine up to just to dogfight a little bit more and get my guns on target a little bit quicker. I have gone ahead recently and adjusted to this reinforced skin. I actually had the polished skin for a while on here to help the aircraft speed, but I didn't really notice a difference on it, and it was impacting my maneuverability a little bit, and I really didn't like that. So I recently changed to the reinforced skin, and it's actually, I've noticed a difference as far as my tail and wing getting knocked out less often. I mean, it's not impervious by any means, but it just doesn't seem to be happening every 5 seconds. Yeah, it impacts the speed a little bit more, but again, you're not really, for me, if I'm playing the Jawa for speed, I'm not playing it right anyway. You'll also notice some of the things that, the bonuses that have gotten with the advanced setup have kind of helped, my chances of causing fire, my accuracy when firing at moving targets. You're going to notice that on my last equipment slot, which is the gas-operated action. This helps the rate of fire. Also, my bonus characteristics help the cooldown, which is excellent for 30mm cannons, and helps the chance of fire. This in combination has been helpful for actually hitting my targets. This equipment setup in general, again, is more dogfighty, more maneuverability based, so I can get my guns on target as quickly as possible, even if they're moving away. You know, I might not be able to catch up to them no matter what my airspeed is, if it's something like that 1056 that we saw, or God forbid we start running into 262s. But if I'm able to make a pivot turn quick enough and get a couple shots in, I've knocked out 262 engines, and then they're in trouble, kind of thing, right? So that's the play style that I have on this particular plane. As far as the pilot is concerned, again, I recommend Firefighter on here. It's going to be your first skill point on any Japanese plane, on any of your Yak planes. I can't think of any others off the top of my head, but I'm sure there's some others that just catch on fire all the time. Firefighter is a really, really good pilot skill. And the reason being is because it extinguishes fire by actively maneuvering. You're always actively maneuvering in a Japanese light fighter or a Yak, right? So you're already turning tight, you're already dogfighting. The firefighter skill typically puts out a fire in about 2 seconds. When I've noticed is because I'm already dogfighting, I'll be on fire and then I'm not on fire. And so what that allows you to do is it allows you to continue to use your consumable slot for a first aid kit. If your pilot gets knocked out, well then yeah, your firefighter skill is not going to work. But you can put in that consumable and you'll put your pilot back in, which will A, get your firefighter skill working in, but B, it'll also allow your accuracy to be better. So it's kind of like a double good for utilizing the first aid kit. So firefighter skill, if you don't use it for your pilots, I highly recommend doing that. It's better than the fire resistance because your fire resistance is helping by 20%. That's great. But you're still going to be catching on fire typically early on until you're able to get the equipment set up that you want. And so just like putting out the fire that's inevitably going to happen anyway seems to be the better option that I've ran into. If you've got an extra point just lying around, sure, throw it into fire resistance. But you definitely want the firefighter skill. Next, after firefighter, you're definitely going to want your marksman. I even went so far as my third skill that I used was marksman 2. For me, the 30 millimeter cannons on this particular plane, you definitely just want to have as accurate as possible. I went ahead with Engine Guru 1 as my final. I'm at a 8-point pilot here, so for my 7th and 8th point, I put it on Engine Guru just to get some sort of semblance of airspeed. I don't know if what my next step is going to be. It's typically going to be something like Aerodynamics Expert, so it'll help even more with the maneuverability and speed equipment that I might have on this plane. Keep in mind that I don't have all of my equipment set up for speed, since some of it is that engine protection, or wing protection, skin, whatever it's called. So I could go with Aerobatics Expert to help my maneuverability even more. I'll kind of make that decision. I've got a while, right, before I get 2 more points. So I'll make that decision once I've got these 2 extra points and make it, will I go for one or the other? And then will I eventually get Engine Guru 2 at some further date? We'll see how it goes. This might be a prime time for me once I get my next point to get this fire resistance skill point, because I've really got nothing better to use it on. Maybe Eagle-Eyed. But you know, it's a Japanese plane, so maybe fire resistance, just because I literally would just have 1 point lying around doing nothing and I might as well use it. So anyway, that's how I have my Jawa, Tier 9 Jawa set up. I've found incredible success with this setup on this plane. I really, really enjoy this plane. Again, I did not quite like the Tier 8. I'm going to buy it back eventually, but it wasn't my favorite. It was one of those planes where I was like, nah, you know what? I'm going to stop grinding this line for a little while. Let me go do something else. It was a little frustrating at Tier 8 to be so slow. You lost all the maneuverability. I mean, you're very maneuverable for a multi-roll, but you were a 0 beforehand, the A7M, which is incredible maneuverability. And so you lost that maneuverability. Yeah, you got some pretty hard-hitting guns at Tier 8, but it just wasn't syncing up with me, right? And I was able to take advantage of March of Nations, got the Tier 9 at a hefty discount, and instantly loved it as soon as I got the top guns on this plane. The guns make the difference. This plane, stock everything else, but the top guns is still a really, really, really good plane. And so if you're going down the 0 line, this is the plane you've got to look forward to. The Tier 10 is excellent as well. But this plane at tier 9 is really just, it's game changing as far as its literal impact on your enemies and your ability to have a positive or possibly negative impact on a game. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me. I do want to know down below, is this the same kind of style that you play? Same kind of setup that you have on your J7W2? Is there a different setup that you've got? Have you employed a speed setup, and how's that working for you? I would love to hear from you all. Otherwise, I hope you have a great day. Bye.